You want your GoldLink? I got your GoldLink. What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today, I want to talk with you guys about this new GoldLink album called At What Cost. Now, this is actually GoldLink's debut studio album, but back in 2015, he dropped a pretty dope mixtape, which I actually reviewed, and that one was called And After That, We Didn't Talk. Now, what I liked about that was his unique style where he was working in some singing and the staccato sort of flow where he's just rapidly spitting, and he also had some nice neo-soul jams and very danceable beats on there. But I think he really tightened his sound up on this one, and this is easily one of my favorite projects of the year so far. I actually hadn't heard too much from him since I reviewed that mixtape, but then he dropped that single Crew, and oh man, that shit was just wavier than a typhoon, except in the good way, because it's not going to drown your pets and kill your family. But goddamn it, that beat is wavy. I love that hook from Brent Faiyaz. I think he has some really great vocals. It just reminds me of those 90s R&B singers who aren't overproduced. And of course, you got Shy Glizzy just snapping. I think he actually had a really good verse. He has that voice that reminds me a bit of Eazy-E, and I like those bars about how he was sleeping over with this girl, and she saw his strap, and she was like, man, why do you got this heat? She was kind of surprised to see it, but he just told her that's how he sleeps. So you know what? Just get off his back, man. Shy Glizzy has been through some shit, and he needs to sleep with that damn strap. So with that song, you're getting this sort of wavy summertime vibe. You can definitely work with it in the car, and you will get some more songs like that. I mean, obviously the song Summatime featuring Radiant Children and Wale has that same type of vibe. It's very nice and bright, and I did like Wale's verse on here. I think he fit in nicely. He's a DC native like GoldLink, so they came together on that project, and there's a lot of DC stuff happening on here, which I will talk about in a minute, but I liked his verse on there. Radiant Children had some really nice vocals, so that was just a type of track where you put the window down, it's a nice and sunny day, you just soak it in and enjoy it, man. This shit was made for summertime. I really like that track a lot. You got Herside Story, where he's actually remixing this track by Herside, I think is how you say it. It's like Square Head. So yeah, Herside. They're this Irish group. He basically just put his verses on there. And this is a really dope track, man. I like that beat. It reminds me of like an underwater level from a video game, except not a bullshit one like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where, you know, the countdown starts happening and you feel like you're just gonna have a panic attack, or that Ninja Turtle level on Nintendo. I think I got that game somewhere there with the goddamn bombs, man. Fuck the Ninja Turtles level with the bombs. You'll also get some really nice vocals from Jesse Rose on this track to help tie it all together. So I think this album overall will really work nice for cookouts, and there are some more of those upbeat, danceable tracks like what he had on that last mixtape. You got the song Meditation, produced by Kaytranada, and this one is just so fun, bright, and funky. Jasmine Sullivan has a nice hook on there about being more than homies. So this track overall has a sort of summertime romance vibe to it happening, and this beat is just beautiful. It's really one of my favorite beats on this project. You can definitely work with it and dance with it. Now, Kaytranada also produced the track Have You Seen That Girl, where GoldLink is just flowing over this piano-laced, bubbly production, and what he's doing on here is just visiting different DMV neighborhoods, shouting them out, and talking to girls from each area. So here's some of that content I was talking about where he's representing, but he represents even more on the song called Roll Call. This actually features Maya, who I haven't heard from for a while, with those thick, thick thighs, man. I've seen some pictures, but I haven't heard too much of her music. But anyway, she's from DC, she's on here, and this track is just paying homage to DC, and they're saying, you know what, no matter where they go, they're always going to come back home and show love to that. So I think anyone who's from the DC area or the DMV area will really appreciate this more than me, because I'm just a Nova Scotia boy, and he damn sure isn't rapping about sou'westers, nor'easters, and lobsters. He's really putting on for the culture. You're even going to get some of those go-go sounds on here on the track Touch Your Knees, I think it's called, or Touch Your Toes. I'll scroll it across the screen because I've been known to fuck up the title of songs, but that one is just a really fun sort of Soul Train track. It just made me picture girls with big afros bouncing that ass on roller skates, and that's not a bad thing to picture. So that was another track that I thought was kind of cool. It was more of an interlude, but it still fit in nicely, and you know, all the content and all these themes of the DC area and DMV really helped tie this project together, and with GoldLink's unique flow, that keeps things together as well. So even though you're going to bounce around a bit with some smooth tracks, some bouncy tracks, even some trappish tracks, which I'll talk about in a minute, I thought this project was still cohesive just in the content and the sound of how GoldLink is rapping. So this is a project that I've really enjoyed. But when it comes to the trappish style tracks, we got Pray Every Day and We Will Never Die. And to me, these were two of the lesser tracks on here. I mean, they weren't my least favorites. They still got some bang to them, but I thought they were a little bit generic when compared to all the unique styles and sounds that GoldLink has on the rest of this thing. Although I will say Pray Every Day gets kind of deep because he's spitting about his vices with women and alcohol, and he brings up how his father wasn't around. He says his father was a Rolling Stone, but look at him now. GoldLink is making the Rolling Stone cover. So I thought that was a pretty dope line, and that was a nice way to wrap the album up because he was bringing that personal content, whereas most of this album is very fun, light, danceable, although he does sprinkle in some violent gangsta-ass shit in here as well because he's really representing for where he's from, and it ain't all good. I mean, even on that interlude I was talking about, there's a fight that starts to break out and the DJ shouts out to them to stop it, and on Meditation, there is a fight on the end of the track, and then some gunfire rings out, and I was actually reading a bit about this album, and GoldLink was saying how that's what happens, man. People are out there having fun, they're dancing at the clubs, but shit can still hit the fan. So there are some layers to this project, and I thought that was interesting because I think no matter where you're from, you know that goes on at parties and clubs, man. Someone's always going to fight or get into stabbing or shooting or some type of shit. Even here in Nova Scotia, I know that happens for sure because I've seen my fair share of shit. Now to wrap up some of these other stray tracks here, we got the track Same Clothes Every Day, where GoldLink is just floating all over this one. There's also a feature from Cesaro, I think is how you say his name. I know it ain't Cesaro from wrestling, he ain't gonna hit you with the neutralizer, but he's got a nice flow on that first verse. I liked what he was doing, and GoldLink was handling his business on there. Just a very wavy track, but man, god damn, I gotta talk about Kokamoe Freestyle, because this shit is an all-out banger. I love that beat. It has a bit of a tropical island vibe to it, or maybe a tribal vibe because of that percussion, and GoldLink is just rapping so hard on this one, man. Like I said, he's letting you know that it ain't all peaches and creams in DC. I said peaches and creams. It's peaches and cream, but I guess if you want more creams with your peaches, you can have it. But, you know, he's got some nice hard-ass lines on this one. He's letting you know if you talk crazy around where he's from, you could get whacked. So I like that balance on this project. I think on the surface, people might think it's just all bright and fun, but he really is putting some shit in there for you to think about, or at least, you know, discuss in a review, which I have. And again, this Kokamoe track, I didn't know what Kokamoe meant, so I looked it up, because when I hear that shit, I'm just thinking of that old Beach Boys song, you know what I mean? Come on, pretty mama, to the Kokamoe. Not the singer, but I tried on that one, but you know that damn song. That's what I thought of, but apparently Kokamoe is this freestyle legend from the DC area or the DMV area. I'm not 100% sure where he's from, but that was just a tidbit that I picked up. So man, there are just little tidbits and hints and tips and tricks and shit all over this thing, man. If you're from the DMV area, I want you to let me know if this really hit you, because I feel like you might relate to it more than a lot of other people. But I'm gonna wrap this up now. This one is a bit ranty and all over the place, but that's just because there's so much to talk about with this one, and I would give it a 4 out of 5, man. I'm really enjoying this, and there's only a couple of tracks I didn't care for. There's The Parables of the Rich Man. This one has him talking to the devil, so there is a bit of a cool concept, but that grating synth does get a little bit annoying, as well as the overproduced vocals, and Some Girl was just kind of boring to me, to be perfectly honest with you. It was just a slow, plodding, bassy beat where he's singing about some girl and some shit. I don't know, man. I couldn't really get into this one at all. I ain't gonna lie to you, but there is a nice little beat switch up on the second half, which was kind of cool. But those would be my 2 least favorite tracks. I also have a bunch of favorites. I'll list them below, as I always do, but 4 out of 5 is fair to me, man. I want to hear what you guys thought about this project. I've seen some very mixed reviews from a lot of people out there in the Twitterverse and beyond. And by the way, man, speaking of Twitterverse and all that shit, I just made an IG page, Luke James BGN. Follow me on there. I'm going to post some little clips and samples of my reviews as I'm doing them. Maybe if I notice a funny line or, you know, a beat that's crazy, I might make a little video clip or something like that. We'll see, man. I'm just going to have fun with it. Post some pictures as well. So check that out, and, you know, do all the other good YouTube and social media stuff, man, where you like the Facebook page, you know, subscribe if you haven't. You know the spiel by now, man. I've given it to you guys so many times. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and I will see you next time.